For real or fudged? While critics offer no evidence to back up charges that the improved September job numbers don't add up, economic analyst William Rodgers, professor and chief economist at Rutgers University, joins us to explain the math behind that jobs report. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
They've been throwing this back and forth about the numbers manipulated for the first time in, 50 years since they've been doing this. But let's talk about the actual report.
Sure.
What does it offer? What can we really take away from this, aside from the politics?
Sure. Well, there are two top-of-the-line numbers that, that are published. The non-farm payroll number, which came in at about 114,000 new jobs were created over the month, and then the number that really got people's sort of energized, where you got a lot of this sort of political reactions to the report, and in terms of the claims of manipulation, was the unexpected drop of the unemployment rate from 8.1 to 7.8%. Partly it's because it came, 1 month before or 2 months before the election. So that was the real biggie. The other nice positive piece of the non-farm payroll number, where they go out and survey employers, that was the 31st month that we've been creating jobs, 31st month, consecutive month we've been creating jobs, for a total of about 4.7 million new jobs, and that can be explains why we saw the drop in the unemployment rate.
When we talk about it going from 8.1 to 7.8, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I'm assuming that there is interpretation of these numbers that can make a difference.
Well, what happened with this drop from 8.1 to 7.8, and that's over the month, as compared to this month to last month, we saw about 700,000 to 800,000 individuals in this household survey, where they go out and interview people like ourselves. 800,000 people got jobs, and so what we have been seeing sort of over the last few months, where the unemployment rate had been falling, it was falling because people were getting discouraged, people were going back to school, people were retiring, or some people were just leaving the labor force.
Or perhaps starting their own businesses.
Or possibly starting their own business, that's right. And so what the Obama administration gave them a lot of sort of wind behind their sails and helped to offset the poor debate performance, was that, hey, we got this unemployment below that psychological 8%, right? That Obama had promised that the stimulus would help us not go above that. So over the month, it was a very, very good report for Obama. Those numbers were real, but on the other hand, for Romney switched his conversation, or his debate, or his criticism about these numbers from not only the sort of 114,000 sort of weak number to the quality of jobs. He noted that of those 700,000, 800,000 people that got jobs, they were in part-time, but they want to work full-time.
Right. Let's talk about concerns about the report. Obviously some good sides. 800,000 people got jobs. What's the downside?
Well, I guess one of the downsides is that this is what Romney and many other Republican critics said, was that the bulk of these jobs were part-time employment. That's the real biggie.
And then the economy is only moving along at what, 1 point something percent? It's moving very slowly.
Well, yes. I mean, we don't have the estimates of gross domestic product growth for the third quarter yet, but estimates that came in for the second quarter were actually revised downward by the Bureau, the Commerce Department, and suggesting a slowing that would be more consistent again with this 120,000 new jobs per month. But again, we take the big picture, because for me, if I have a lesson for people out there watching, 1 month does not make a trend. That I like to look at what's happened over the last 12 months, and that's what brings me to another concern I have. That yes, over the last 12 months, unemployment rates have fallen from about over 9% to the 7.8%. However, still over the longer 12-month duration, the drop in unemployment is because people have still continued to be leaving the labor force. They're either, in the good news, are going and getting our education, more training, but also in the more negative news, right, they're getting discouraged and moving out. Another aspect of this, again, over the 12 months, and even over the last month, that people have explained why we saw this big drop, is that unemployment insurance benefits have come to an end for about 500,000 Americans.
Oh, okay. So that's sort of an incentive for people to get back out.
Oh,
there
it's a
and
big
start
incentive.
looking.
I mean, one of the academic research has shown, and you can see the spike in the data when they do this research, that when you pull those unemployment insurance benefits back, the odds of reemployment shoot up dramatically.
Oh, sure.
So a good large share of that, those Americans who reported working part-time, those are probably Americans who had been utilizing benefits, again, which are very modest, but they're utilizing those benefits and they got pushed back in the labor market and taking jobs that probably on average they're earning about 15 to 20% less than what they had before they lost their jobs, and most likely these jobs they're working on don't have benefits.
Wow. Yeah, it's a tough economy out there, but I suppose for some, 80% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Oh, most definitely. And I think, again, over the 12 months, over the last 4 years, Americans are clearly better off and the economy is clearly better off than we were. But what really does give me pause and concern, again, is people like Jack Welch and others who really criticized and wanted to question the transparency, question the accuracy and the processes that the Bureau of Labor Statistics does when they create their estimates. As I've told you, I served as the Labor Department's chief economist, and I worked with those career people at BLS for.
And these are nonpartisan agencies.
These are nonpartisan. Yeah. Well, the BLS, the only political appointee there is the commissioner, and then everybody else up through the associate commissioners, this sort of second rung of leadership, they're all career appointees. And then the individuals who actually construct and make the data and do the surveys, they're career people. They're career people. They don't have a bias.
Gotcha.
And then the other piece about this is I also currently serve on a technical advisory committee with for the agency. And if you go to their website, they're very clear about transparency. And in the process and construction and the revisions. I mean, these revisions that they talk about, they're typically like 1/10 to 0.3%. Right. Very, very small.
Insightful stuff. Good to know.
Thank you.
Rodgers, always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.